There we go. All right, welcome everyone. How many of you have been at our welcome party yesterday? Awesome. So you already know a little bit what Apillon is doing. So as Zoe nicely introduced me as well, I'm the founder and CEO at Apillon. And we're not also the first time on Decoded, so we've been here last year, where we kind of laid out the vision, what we're trying to achieve with Apillon. And we've come a long way from last Decoded. So basically, since we started coding Apillon, we have over 2 million lines of code written. We now have 6 partnerships with different parachains in the ecosystem. We've organized 6 events to kind of foster the adoption of Polkadot, not just in Europe, but worldwide. So to kind of really showcase the capabilities that parachains and its ecosystem is bringing. Over 1,000 meetup attendees, over 1,000 developers already on the platform, playing around, checking out how our integrations work with the parachains. And we already have over 100 projects running on Apillon, hosting websites, storages, NFT collections, and so on. And our success is not only, let's say, that we are kind of being proud of it on our own, so the ecosystem does see this as a success as well. So a lot of the teams that we are working with sees that there's a big missing piece in the ecosystem, that's UX. So there needs to be a simpler way of interacting with the parachains, simpler way of getting new users into the space and showcasing and guiding them through the ecosystem, and basically showing them the capabilities of the parachain in a very easy way. So what are we doing and why did we do that? So we initially started to build a use case for enterprise customers. They wanted to have a revolutionary product that can drive their B2B sales, their B2C sales, and they wanted to move into a decentralized way, Web3. So we started building on Moonbeam first, then we kind of ran down the rabbit hole, started working with Kilt, then with Fala, then with Crust. And we saw to build a simple application that can be used by millions of users, it takes a lot of time just to build a simple POC. So we have to understand each and every parachain in very much detail to understand how the tokens work, what wallets are supported, how to run their nodes, how to run their scripts. So there's a lot of work involved in the housekeeping part before you can actually start building application in the front end. And this is basically the interesting part, that even the parachains, when we're talking to them, they're like, we have domain-specific knowledge in those verticals, like storage, computing, identity, and so on. But we don't actually care or think about outside of the box, how it's going to be utilized, how it's going to be built together into a useful application. And we're kind of surprised by that, that the teams are working on an XCM level and have this protocol level interoperability, but nobody's talking about the front-end interoperability to really drive adoption. So this is why we then basically came into place, say, look, there needs to be an easy tooling, and there needs to be an easy way to kind of connect all those parachains together and just make it simple to build on top of it. And this is our positioning in the ecosystem, how we see Apillon as this missing piece of the UX UI layer. So when we're comparing to how the evolution was going through Web 1, Web 2, Web 3, right? On the Web 1, the web servers, the SQLs, all those things working at the back end on the server level wouldn't be as successful if it wouldn't be like a cPanel interface to abstract all the complexity of the database at the back end and then start deploying your servers on top, or the services on top. The same goes for Web 2, right? So you have different cloud providers like Google Cloud, AWS, Azure, and so on. But as a developer, you don't want to mess around with setting up your nodes, your servers, your storage, and so on. You just want to build your mobile application. So Firebase came into place and did this abstraction. And now we see the same complexity. There are amazing teams building on Polkadot. They have amazing know-how and great tech. But to bring them all together, there needs to be a layer in between to kind of interconnect them and abstract the complexity. And this is where we come into place. So how are we doing that? So we take each and every parachain, so basically one of the few projects in the ecosystem that actually touches and works with every parachain. Just as Polkadot is doing at the back end, we are doing at the front end. And so we take the complexity of those parachains and translate them into simple APIs so that if you're a JavaScript or full stack developer, you can use and stay in the comfort zone of your own language, but call our APIs and start building a true Web3 app without interacting directly with substrate chains. So in the example of Kilt and Crust, for example, you as a developer have a predictable fiat pricing, so you have a monthly subscription fee, and we cover the cost of the underlying parachains. And in exchange, you get simple APIs so that you just call the API, create username with password, and we do everything on a Kilt chain, for example. The same goes for storage. Get storage, and we do everything on a Crust storage and give you the capacity that you need. in comparison, how long it actually takes, I mean, it took us roughly 4 to 6 months to get Crust integrated and do all the heavy lifting that is done without Apillon. So if you go directly on chain and start building on Substrate, whereas now that we've implemented the whole workflow of the specific chain, you just go in, call the storage SDK, and you can start moving files onto IPFS through a drag and drop like experience on Dropbox, Google Drive, and so on. In addition, you also have a command line interface to really call the APIs at the backend. So what could you build? I mean, we are not building those alternatives, but we can give you some recipes or ideas what you can build today, right? Obviously, Kilt would be like one of the foundations to drive identity in your app because you want to have user credentials in there. Crust also makes sense to kind of offload and store some data. But then you can basically use like a Lego system, like we're in Denmark, the birth city or birth country of Legos. Basically take different parachains that suit your need. If you're gonna go into a real enterprise direction, build a Salesforce clone, why not talk to Chainlink, have some external Oracle data being pulled into your Salesforce environment and equip your company, sensitive company data with external data, have an enterprise-ready smart contract chain like Aventus. Or you want to go down the road to build an e-commerce store like eBay, right? Why not use Crust and Kilt for identity and storage? Use Centrifuge to kind of create some real-world assets that you can put into your e-commerce store. And Aster to create NFTs of those data on your store. So basically, it's a real nice building block solution where you just take the services that you need and then basically combine them into an app. So how can you build this? I want to show you some quick screenshots on how we are building Apillon. So basically, we're going down that road to kind of give you a Web 2-like cloud experience. So when you log in into our platform, on the left side, you have the available services, like completely translated from the complexity of the parachains. Like you have a storage service, you have a hosting service, there's NFTs, authentication, computing, and basically all of this done, all the heavy lifting is done in the backend. So here we pin storage data to IPFS through Crust. On the hosting part, you have the possibility to host your website in a true decentralized way on IPFS. On the NFT part, we guide you through the creation, minting of your NFTs, deploy the NFTs of currently on Moonbeam or Astar, and automatically also link all those metadata and images to IPFS. So basically combining already two parachains into a useful use case on the front end. What we've just recently done is to even further showcase the interoperability. We've combined Fala, Moonbeam, and Crust to create, we call it the Schrodinger's NFT. So basically, you're using your NFT as the key to unlock a trusted executable environment where you can store sensitive data on Crust. So I'll just play the video so it explains it even better. So if you have a file, you have an NFT which doesn't unlock your environment, you cannot access data on Crust on IPFS. However, if you drag in the right NFT, your files get unlocked and you're able to basically start saving data on IPFS in a true and secure encrypted way. How does it work? So as I said, so the user has an NFT, and by combining with the fat contract of Fala, you're able to access data on IPFS. And this is just a demo to showcase how to create this interoperability of three independent parachains to create useful applications. And this is now just as an example, but you could be having, I don't know, very sensitive company data, give users the possibility. But the beauty is also if you send your NFT to someone else, they have the possibility to access this data on chain. So I'd kindly invite everyone to join our platform. So like I said, we have already over 1,000 developers working on it, playing with it, creating amazing stuff on it. But what we also like to encourage you is that we practice what we preach. You'll probably see the team around, going around with T-shirts. We want to encourage everyone to kind of become Web3 approved. We all have our own websites. We all host our websites, but the websites are all hosted in a very centralized way currently, right? So we're not preaching or practicing what we're preaching of this unstoppable web, what Polkadot is doing. So we encourage everyone to kind of join the initiative, host your website on Apillon on IPFS through Crust to kind of really have your website running in a true decentralized way. So with this regards, I'll do it in true Steve Jobs manner. There's one more thing. So all that you've seen right now, Apillon will be going to the treasury proposal on Polkadot because we think this layer should be common good thing. So we should create a layer that's being accessible for everyone. So we will be going live to become open source. So the whole platform, the whole UX part, the whole UI, every integration that we'll be building on the parachains has become open source. So basically, we encourage the community to help us grow this abstraction of parachains and get more and more developers into this space. There's another QR code which leads to our proposal. So it's a fairly large proposal, so 51 pages long. Probably not going to read it in a break, but we're more than happy to get your feedback on how to improve it or maybe make it even bigger. But yeah, we will be happy to get every feedback that we can. So with this, I'd like to thank everyone for your attention. I think we have 4 more minutes left for Q&A. So if you have any more questions, feel free. Happy to answer them. Thanks.
This stage is cool. I will just join you on stage, but yes, we have some time for questions from the audience. Are there any questions from you guys? Yes, let's go. We have a hot mic coming around as well.
Hey, so if I have, like, treat me like a dumb consultant business person as I am. So if I have like 6 books written and I put them online in a WordPress site and I want to get out of WordPress and I want to build everything on Apillon, what do I do first?
First, you register as a user.
I think I've done that.
Okay, no, but first, I mean, the simplest thing is you go onto the dashboard and go on the storage. You create a so-called bucket. We want to mimic this experience that you have from Web2-like cloud environments, so create a bucket. And then it's just basically a drag and drop for you. Once the files are being dragged into the interface, we will pin it to the IPFS nodes. And then you get a nice IPFS link that you can basically share for your needs. And then there are different retention periods, so 6 months, 1 year, and so on. But yeah, the beauty of it is that the files actually then live in a true unstoppable storage, right? There's no one able to shut down your service for that regard. So. Thank you. Yeah, good question. I mean, currently, like I said, it's free forever in Polkadot. So we're driving this initiative. There's going to be obviously some premium plans available as well. So we're still negotiating or looking at what the fair pricing per month would be. But currently, all the features are for free. So we're able to go on there, host your websites for free, upload storage for free.
Hello. I have a website and I would like to host it like on Crust with Apillon, but I wonder if there's something like GitHub hooks that I don't have to deploy it manually all the time when I change something?
Yes. Yes, they are. Our CTO is here as well, so he can guide you through it, but we have the GitHub books, everything. The wiki is up online, so all the all the documentation is online, so you don't have to go through the UI. You can do everything automatically through the API and command line. Yeah.
More questions? Maybe one more question from my side. You already introduced the amazing proposal that's up for discussion right now. What would change for parachains that you're working with at the moment if you become a public common good parachain, if this proposal gets accepted?
I would say in a way we can then even work closer together than we did before, because we have no, let's say, personal incentive of, let's say, choosing which parachain to integrate, because everything, the whole platform is going to be governed by Polkadot governance. So we have a huge backlog of different parachains that need to get integrated, and then basically the dot community is able to vote which parachains to put in there next and which to kind of nurture further.
Amazing. Yeah, I'm very excited about this proposal.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matjaz.